Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So today's video, we're going to continue the conversation that is going on in the community right now with the status effects. Now, I saw like a clip from a Reddit post. Somebody said they went ahead and tested the status effects and, they're not really that good and all that stuff. To me, I don't necessarily think it's about the validity right now of the status effects in the game because a lot of them took a hit. I think it's more of the fact that this might be a way to kind of hide or even push back a deficiency in the Division game right now. And I think that deficiency is basically a lack of content that, is being brought to the game. So if you look at the Division's player, the player mix-up or, the kinds of players we have players who are more elite at knocking out content, and I'll call them elite player base or 1% or whatever you want to call it, 10%, top 10% or the top percentile, who are able to knock out content in the very first few weeks of the game. They beat it, and then the content is already irrelevant to them. They get everything that's involved and boom, that's it. Now, then you have other people who are able to, beat the content whenever they can or whenever they have the opportunity. If the developers continue making these nerfs, what does that actually say to the elite player base? Well, it makes the content more challenging for us, and we can go in there and actually now feel a new challenge. But then it also tells the other player base that is not among the elites, well, you have to deal with it or whatever it is. But here's the fact. A lot of the elite player base, once they finish farming content and getting everything that they want from it, they will almost always hardly go back and touch that content. I've seen a lot of comments saying, it really did trivialize the legendary missions and crowd control made everything so easy. But let me hear from you, bro, and sis, or whoever is playing legendary content. If you've already gotten your bighorn, do you really find so much of a reason to go back and play legendary missions once you've gotten your bighorn? Or do you just go do other things or basically not even play the game and take a break? Answer honestly if you're one of those players who really get your stuff done very early in the game. Or whenever you have time, you just kind of grind and go in there and get your stuff. Do you really go back and actually play a lot of these other hardcore or more demanding missions after you've gotten your gain from it? Or maybe your clan members have all gotten whatever it is that they want from these missions. You basically hardly go in there. Once you've beaten it, it's something that may not necessarily interest you to do, except maybe you're speed running and trying to prove a point to be number one on the ranking of who's going to beat it the fastest. But other than that, I don't see too many veteran players going into these missions over and over again. I'm not saying that they're not, there aren't any, but I'm not seeing a lot. What does that say? The so-called tweaks that are supposed to make it challenging for a lot of the player base is basically not affecting the section of the player base that it's supposed to actually affect. So in my opinion, I feel like it's slightly redundant. I think that there are better ways to actually go about this, and I want to propose solutions in this video. I know my other videos I actually called out what I felt the problems were, but I didn't put any solutions because I felt like there needed to be an extensive conversation on that. One solution could be they could just bring out new content and change the way players play that content, or have that content demand players play differently from other content within the game. That's exactly what Legendary did. Why not do Legendary missions with the other factions? That's one way to do it. Take other missions, missions within the game, which they've already said Legendaries are going to be coming for, which is something that was rumored or maybe spoken of somewhere, and use those legendaries to actually allow for players to explore other ways to go. I can't imagine that a legendary version of hyenas will be the same as the Black Tusks. I can't imagine that, or White Tusks, whatever you want to call them. I can't imagine that the Outcasts on Legendary would be similar to even the True Sons on Legendary if they actually did something like that. It's not out of the question. There are 3 other factions in this game that can be explored for content. Basically, imagine how many missions they can put together if they even just started doing one of these every so many months and dropping it and putting players to the test and putting players to the challenge. This is a whole bunch of content just sitting there for them to be able to take and actually bake into much more challenging content for the so-called elite players and have them have something on their hands to try to figure out. And at this point, they can bend the rules in those instances. They can tweak the rules and make those legendary hyenas be be whatever it is that they want it to be. This is one way to do it. The second way is even existing content that's already there. One of the reasons it gets trivialized and easy is because players are already aware of spawn points. They already know where enemy NPCs are going to be coming from. Why not allow for these missions to be able to, get their spawns, to make their spawns more random than they already are? These two things I feel like will provide some sort of challenge that the developers actually do desire. Here's the problem. It takes time. It will take time. But I don't think the top 1% are really that impatient with waiting for how long it will take to bring this content out. I don't think they're not willing to wait. I think they'll be happy to wait for this content to be available for them. And when it's available, guess what? Everybody gets to play the game. If the so-called 1% beats the game and moves on to something else, it provides more of a, of a landmark for even players who are not there yet to want to reach. It's like once you got to World Tier 5, then you started, you did all your strongholds, and then you started farming for gear score 500 gear. That was one landmark you wanted to reach. And then you went off to the raid. And after the raid, then you went to New York. So there's more content that's lined up for people who are aspiring to get to that part of, of the game, which is end game. I've beaten everything. It's not just end game. Well, I'm not able to do this yet. And I think there's so much that can be done with this that the developers are basically not leveraging, instead using a lot of this stuff to delay and actually, push their player base away. Because if a player has beaten all the missions in the game and there's nothing for them to do, they are in a much more better frame of mind to actually put the game down, go play other games, and then when there's new content, come back happily. Rather than a player who has basically done everything, or who's trying to do everything, putting down the game and then leaving, and then you bring out new content, they're most likely not going to come back. This is exactly why I feel the developers need to take the approach that I'm proposing, or some form of it, in order for them to be able to have the player base continue to play the game. And if somebody says, well, I'm going to, take a break for a while and new content comes around, they're more willing to come and check it out rather than getting frustrated and putting the game down and moving away. And then to one final thing that I have to say. A lot of people say, this is standard industry practice. They do this all the time. But I want to say The Division is not a standard industry game. It's actually the most unique industry RPG looter shooter right now in the market. It really is. And I don't think The Division developers are afraid of pushing the envelope. I think what's going to set them apart is if they push the envelope and actually make changes on the recommendations and on the communication that they have with their community. You know why I say that? They did that in The Division 1. That's how they got The Division 1 to actually maintain some sort of a reputation by the time The Division 2 was coming out. It was with the help of the Division 1 community. I think the developers probably felt satisfied with the original outcome of The Division 2 and with the original outcome of Warlords of New York. And they got to forget that we in the community, not necessarily content creators, but a lot more people in the community are able to put more context and able to, add some really valuable input to the game that can make the game better. I feel like if the developers adopt this, their work is going to be much more easier. And I can understand that there might be some constraints in actually making these things a reality. Maybe they don't want to break stuff, but there are core things that I don't think are a problem. And this is basically one of those. Just leaving the game and leaving players to be strong and making their content provide more of a challenge than anything else. This is how I feel like it's going to work out for them. And so these are my solutions. I just wanted to propose them because it's one thing to voice a concern and it's another to, voice a solution. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Peace.